Hi, I'm Pierre. I'm the market lead for Thomson Reuters Tax and Accounting in the MENA region, and I'm very pleased today to be joined by...
My name is Andrew Bohnet. I'm the Managing Director of Innovate Tax, and we're actually a specialist Oracle tax integrator. I'm also the Chair of the Oracle Tax Management Special Interest Group, and I'm also an Oracle ACE on the subject matter of e-business tax.
So a lot of Oracle experience.
A lot of Oracle-centric, but it tends to come across in other applications as well.
I'm sure it does. So Andrew, first of all, thank you very much
Pleasure.
for being with us today. I think the first question is around this. We've seen VAT being introduced, both of us in this region, in the UAE and in Saudi, on the 1st of January 2018.
Yeah.
Both of us have live clients in there, happy
Yes.
with what they have. But we're also starting to see feedback from other clients who have not gone through the, a proper technology route and starting to see issues. What are some of these issues that you have seen in there?
I think, so the clients that we've generally implemented, they've got our solution, they've used our experience, and we've made sure that they've got a compliant product. Where we're seeing the issues is actually, I think, around two main areas. One is around the change of process that companies have, how they deal with prepayments, for example, advance payments, on-account receipts, retention, where you already have an existing process in place, but it wasn't designed for VAT. And so they, without the right experience or without the right understanding of how tax works, some of those processes are potentially non-compliant in the way they're doing them now, particularly around those prepayments. And then the other area is around how some of the integration partners who may not necessarily have the right experience around VAT have implemented or things around interfaces or reporting, or even the number of rules and rates that we have. One of our clients we're speaking to, or potential clients we're speaking to, they have been implemented with 3 tax codes. And I know that in the UAE we have almost 200 in our setups.
So before you go on that, so why is it important that someone has more than 3 tax codes?
I think if you look at how most people will start and look at designing a tax solution, they start from the calculate tax point first and then work their way up to the reporting at the end. The true way to get a properly compliant solution is you start at the compliance and say, what do we need? And then you work your way backwards. And so the reason why you need more tax codes is to give the right information to either those people entering the transactions or the people doing the reconciliation to make sure that the right tax has been calculated. Because if you don't have that level of detail, then you're going to potentially miss some critical areas and you miss that level of control. Now, obviously, when you have a lot of tax codes, you then want to minimize the user interaction and minimize their responsibility, and that's obviously where tax automation becomes really important. I think one of our biggest concerns, though, is the way data is being interfaced from third-party applications. We saw in one particular case, and in actual fact, we've seen this in several cases, where data is being consolidated and interfaced in, captured in maybe on a journal line, and they're capturing the tax code, but not the tax amount against the line. And then when they're actually doing the reporting, they're recalculating the tax based on the code and the amount, when the actual tax amount could be a completely different value. And that it's clearly non-compliant, and that will really lead to potential future issues for them.
And I think we've seen something very similar with our clients, which is, the amount of data and the quality of data and the level of details in there is shockingly bad.
Yes.
Right? And you have so many companies who are struggling when it comes to the reporting side of things, where they just don't have enough details.
No.
So they're trying to work out basically what number goes into which box, and they just don't know.
Yeah.
And they have to do all that manual work around it to try to get there. And they will get there at some point, and they will file a VAT return, but how confident are they that these figures are accurate is where, again, like you, we are concerned about.
Yeah, I think it's the saying of garbage in, garbage out.
Absolutely.
And that, it's a common saying, and there's a reason for that. And I think if you look at the way the data is coming in as well, the focus has obviously been about that tax return. But if we look at the future with regards to intra-GCC, the reporting, the capturing of the tax, most companies have no foundation to be able to improve their solution without a complete redesign. And also the issue around, well, not necessarily the issue, but the requirement to report your data, like the FAF report, which I think you'll be able to give us some information as to how that is actually changing globally, not just with the UAE, but the trend globally with regards to data.
The FAF file I think is a very interesting one, right? Because it reminds us a lot of SAFTI, obviously back in Europe, right? The standard audit file for tax. And what is also very interesting is if you look at a country like Poland, they've just removed
just announced, haven't they?
Exactly, their VAT return because they have SAFTI or the equivalent of SAFTI that they have there. So at some point, not tomorrow, at some point in this region, a similar trend will arrive, right? And we're already seeing this globally where if you look at the amount of data that tax authorities are asking taxpayers is going increasingly towards the high. It's more data, more often, to a point where probably at some point it will be completely real time.
And I think if you look at it now, you have an audit, they will go through and ask you for certain records and check. With the SAFT type reporting, every transaction for every customer for every period will be audited.
They've got everything.
And that's so in Poland they're actually going to be producing the VAT returns for you. So there's nowhere to hide, right? So
exactly. And then again begs the question. So you've implemented VAT right now, let's say in the UAE or in Saudi. How can you be future-proof for this type of requirement that are going to come ahead? And here there is two parts of that question. The first one is exactly as you were saying, the other countries in the region are going to open up to VAT. So how ready are you for that? And how much work is involved for you to be able to jump and basically configure a new country? Or do you have to redo an entire implementation once again? And or more importantly, then when these kind of requests comes in where tax authority wants more data, are you ready from a system point of view?
Exactly. Right? And I think a lot of companies will either have implemented something, they may be happy with it, they may start seeing the cracks appearing, they may be a little bit concerned about the data in those reports. What do you think companies can do now? So those companies in the UAE and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia who already have a solution, they may not be happy with it. What can they do to potentially say, actually, I want to review this, maybe some sort of health check or something like this? And those countries that are in the other GCC countries that are looking to implement VAT.
So I think that you've got two different cases, right? So if you're already in the UAE and in Saudi, you have done something. Good or bad, you have done something.
Well, you'd hope they have. You would hope.
Yes. So now it's sort of a matter of, first of all, trying to assess what you have done. Like you do a mid-year review or a health check on what you have done and look at your process and your workflow internally.
I think that's important. You have to look at the process, not just the system.
Exactly, right? Because systems, as we both know, is only part of the solution, not the complete
I always say
answer.
any system will fail without the right process in place.
Absolutely, right? Because again, it's only garbage in, garbage out, right? So it's really about trying to work out what you have done, look at your process, your workflow, and then do a solution review or technology review. Well, how have you set up your IT system? Where are the gaps? Where are you spending most of your time today? Right? Then what is the risk? Right? If you keep on doing like that, what is the risk? And then based on that, what are your options? Right? And this could be, we just need more people. Most likely, it is you probably need to change what you have done. And it might not be a complete revamp. There might be things that you can do to improve drastically your process today. But you need to do that exercise to know what these options are. Right? That's the first thing. The second one would be, yes, you had to spend money last year to implement VAT. if you are having a risk or if you're not confident, you're going to have to spend money again.
Yeah.
And that conversation needs to be raised at the board level. And both IT and tax have to be involved, or finance, right? And I'm sure you've seen that as well, where you have IT and finance do not speak to each other. And they have different KPIs, different requirements, and sometimes you even think, are they actually part of the same company?
Yeah.
Right? And finally, if you are in one of the other countries that is going to implement VAT, then here it's about going back to the beginning, right? Is do a VAT impact assessment. You don't need to wait for the law
Absolutely.
to do that.
We have a solution, as you do, ready right now.
Exactly.
I think on that point, what I say to companies is it doesn't matter what the tax rate is. It doesn't matter whether it's exempt or zero rated. What matters is that you can calculate a tax rate, that you can drive something that's been exempt or zero rated, and the interfaces are going to work. So start now with that.
That's exactly the point, right? And, and I think there is also a big part of a lesson learned that needs to happen here, right? Which is, you've seen how UAE and Saudi, they were a bit rushed toward the ends of last year. And that is because a lot of them have waited until the final law was out to actually do something about it, right? Do not do that mistake again. Start now, do that exercise now, because then when the law is out, it's just a tweaking exercise and not a whole clean sheet type of things from the ground up.
Because the other problem as well, what people don't realise is that whilst you may have internal resources that have to get organised, those external expertise that you potentially need to give you a sanity check and make sure you are on the right track, they're going to be in short supply as well.
Absolutely.
Because other companies should be using them.
Well, Andrew.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for our audience. And we hope to see you soon.
Great. Thank you.